Hey everybody, welcome back to Living Traditions Homestead. We are in the house today in front of the wood stove because it is kind of a cold, nasty, rainy day outside. Luckily, we already had this video planned for you guys. We thought maybe we'd shoot it out on the porch, but because of the weather, we decided to move inside in front of the wood stove.
We have a topic today that you all have been very interested in. As you know, Kevin and I, starting in January of this year, started a new way of eating. We started eating a keto diet or a keto way of eating. So today we're going to talk with you about how that is all going for us.
Right.
And some information that you all have been very interested in receiving from us.
Now, for those of you who don't know or might be confused about what a keto lifestyle is or a keto way of eating is, we don't like to use the word diet, first of all, because
Right.
that implies that it's something that you're going to do for a little while, maybe get some benefits from, but then you're going to stop it and go back to the way things were. And that's not something that we're going to be doing. So we call it a keto lifestyle or a keto way of eating. And what it is a low carb, moderate protein, and high fat diet. And really, when you think about it, and when we think about it, it is really a very good way of eating for homesteaders because all of those things, everything that we can grow and produce ourselves, really fall into that category for the most part.
As soon as we started talking on YouTube and actually with our loved ones, people in the community, that we were transitioning to a keto way of eating, lots of people were very concerned for us, and we received a lot of feedback that we would see our cholesterol just skyrocket,
Right.
that we were setting ourselves up to getting heart disease,
Right.
and that our blood pressure was going to get out of control.
And I think a lot of that comes from people not really understanding how a keto lifestyle works or how that affects your body. But nonetheless, when you hear that type of feedback from people in all different aspects of your life, it's kind of hard to not get a little worried about that stuff yourself. I mean, you're feeling some benefits, you feel like you are seeing some of the positive things, but what's really happening to your like inside your body? That was kind of the unknown for us. So just this last week, Sarah and I both went to the doctor. We had a good physical workup. We had blood work done, and today we want to share those results with you guys.
But before we share the results, we want to kind of step back and review why we decided to make this big change of eating keto. And really, it was primarily for health reasons. Now, I have heart disease that runs in my family, and Kevin has diabetes that runs in his family. And we know that, being overweight causes health issues and can cause both of those to happen for each person. So we also wanted to not only prevent those things from happening to us, but we also wanted to manage our weight a little bit better.
So when we first started this, I think one of the things that we heard a lot from people was, but neither of you are overweight. Mm-hmm. You look just fine. Compared to everybody else, you look great. And while some of that may be true, that's not all true. So before we jump into all the blood results, I want to tell you just first of all where I was weight-wise 1 year ago when we started this. When we started this way of eating, I weighed 196 pounds. And at 196 pounds, I was very squarely planted in the overweight category for my height. I'm 5'10", I'm 47 years old. At 196 pounds, I was really almost 20 pounds overweight. And so even though when you go out and about, you might see a lot of people who are a lot bigger than you, that doesn't mean that you're not overweight. It just means you're not as overweight as some of those other people.
Now, at the beginning all of this for me in January, I was 146 pounds. Now, the BMI range for what is ideal for my height goes up to about 150. So I wasn't exactly overweight, but I was pushing kind of the top level for my height, and I wanted to bring that down a little bit. The ideal weight for somebody of my height is about 127 pounds.
And the ideal range for someone of my size, again 5'10", is 157 pounds. So I was at 196. My ideal would be 157. And kind of a healthy range BMI wise is really from about 130 to about 175. I think it's like 174 point something. So you can see when I started this, I was way above that 175, which put me clearly into the overweight category.
So that is where we were starting off at the beginning of January. Now, when we went to the doctor for our physicals, I was very happy to see on the scale there at the doctor's. You know, you always weigh more at the doctor than you do at home.
Well, first of all, let's be honest. When you weigh yourself at home, you're not wearing anything most of the time because you want to be as light as you can.
Right. At the doctor's, you have all your clothes on. So the day at the doctor, I was 136 pounds.
Right.
So 10 pounds lighter than I was at the beginning of the year.
And when I went to the doctor last week, I weighed in at 174 pounds. Again, that is clothes, so really less than that, which puts me into the normal category, no longer overweight, and is about a 22-pound loss from when we started a year ago. So I was very happy with that.
Next up, we were concerned about our blood pressure. We had gotten a lot of feedback from people that we were just going to kill our blood pressure by doing this. I generally have normal to low blood pressure, so this really wasn't much of a concern for me. But at the doctor, my blood pressure was 100/64, which, I mean, honestly, it's pretty normal for me.
Right. And so, again, this was an area of concern for me because I have had borderline high blood pressure in the past, especially back in the days where we were still working in corporate America. I would go to the doctor, and at that point, you guys, I was even heavier than I was when we started this. I think I never saw the scale get over 200, but I'm pretty sure at one point I was over 200 pounds. And my blood pressure would range anywhere from like 140, 150 over 90, somewhere in that range. But I was pleasantly surprised that when I went to the doctor last week, my blood pressure was 120/70, which puts me right in the normal category. So I was blown away by that because it's been a long time since I've seen my blood pressure be actually in the normal category.
So now let's get to blood work.
Right.
Because this is where there's the most controversy and the most concern from, our family and community members and from you all, from YouTube. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
Right. So let's start with cholesterol because that's the big one that everyone's like, oh, you're eating all this meat and you're eating all this fat and, you're going to get your cholesterol is just going to be so out of whack. So I'm going to actually grab my paper here, because I don't have them all memorized. And we're not going to go over every little test that they did because they did quite a bit of blood work. Mm-hmm. So we're going to go over the ones that we know everybody's going to be concerned about based on diet.
Right. So the first one we're going to start with is just overall cholesterol. And the number you want to see should be less than 200.
Right.
Mine was 176.
And mine was 156.
Next up is the HDL.
Right.
You want a number that is greater or equal to 50.
Right.
Mine was 78.
And mine was 48.
Next up is the LDL, which is a lot of times considered the bad cholesterol. And you want a value that is under 100.
Right.
And mine was 85.
And mine was 94. And the final result, which was a big one for me because in the past I've had this number be quite high, triglycerides. Triglycerides are one of those things, it's another type of fat or another type of lipid in your blood that if it's elevated can really increase your risk for heart attack, stroke, hardening of the arteries. And you guys, so the number that you're looking for is below 150. I can tell you, at one point, while we were still in the Phoenix area, my number was above 150, and my doctor actually wanted to start me on a pharmaceutical for it, but I actually ended up just taking krill oil, which brought the number down. Not all the way down, but it brought it down enough that I was kind of out of the woods. But you guys, so we're looking for under 150. When we went to the doctor last week, My value was 59.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, it was over a 100-point drop from where I was probably at my heaviest.
And mine was 44. So that is fantastic also.
Right. So that is all of the like fats in your blood. Those are the things that people are worried about for heart attack, stroke, things like that. And as you can see, eating a moderate protein, high fat, low carb diet really made those numbers all fall into the normal range.
Now, the last thing we were concerned about was the potential for diabetes. That runs in Kevin's family, so
Right.
we wanted to check that out as well.
Yeah, there is quite a bit of diabetes in my family, especially on my dad's side of the family. So that is always a concern for me, especially, with being overweight and all of that. So this was something that, once you're diabetic, you're diabetic. So I was hoping I had never gotten into the diabetic area. And the good news is that after going to the doctor last week, my glucose, which is kind of a snapshot of what your glucose is right at that time. So that was 94, which is in the normal range. And then they also tested our A1C, which is kind of a bigger picture of how your glucose does. So an A1C kind of looks at kind of like a few months, what your kind of average is doing. My A1C was 5.5, which is also in the normal range. So no signs of diabetes.
Now, I wasn't really worried about it for myself, but my glucose was 83 and my A1C was 4.9. Well, overall, our physicals and our blood work and our blood pressure, all of that checked out really well. We're very happy, we're very relieved, and we're really excited about those results.
Right, and excited about the future because now we know that we're on the right track.
Right, and overall, you guys, we are feeling fantastic.
Right.
We've got a ton of energy. We love what is going on here.
Now, one thing that we did want to talk to you guys about as well is that, while it's great that we've lost weight on this keto diet and that, like physically, I think we appear better, we feel better, but there was another kind of hidden reason why we wanted to start this lifestyle in the first place, and that was inflammation. Mm-hmm. If you do any amount of research on your body and inflammation and how bad having ongoing inflammation is in your system, you'll understand why you want to do something to negate that. And when all the research we did about how to control inflammation in your body through diet, it almost all led back to doing a low-carb keto diet.
More and more research is coming out and information that sugar and carbs are very inflammatory to the body.
Information.
I had been experiencing some, what I think was gut inflammation, some digestive issues.
IBS.
Yes, IBS. And so if I could get that more under control through diet, through a high-fat, low-carb diet, that was worth it for me.
And for me, and I've told you guys about this in the past, I've suffered with, I have psoriasis, so I have skin problems, and I have psoriatic arthritis. So that's like psoriasis, inflammation in your joints. And I can tell you, after doing this diet for almost a year now, you guys, first of all, my skin problems are almost 100% gone. I still have a little bit of dry skin on my hands, but other than that, my skin problems are pretty much gone. And the same is true for my joint problems. Other years, during the summer especially, out gardening and working hard and all of that, my joints would be inflamed and sore. This summer and now going into winter, I have no joint pain whatsoever.
And my digestive issues, if I'm doing, no cheating, my digestive issues are completely gone. I have never felt this good with my whole guts in my entire life.
And I think that is just evidence, that what we're doing is working for us.
Right. Now, we want to talk with you a little bit about what eating keto looks like for us. And before we kind of get into that, I want to tell you that prior to doing keto, we ate really well. We thought we were
what we thought was well.
Yeah, we thought we were eating pretty healthy, and we were eating primarily home cooked meals,
Right.
and very simple ingredients. We
Right.
weren't getting processed foods. We weren't buying boxed or frozen
Right.
meals.
We
at
were
the grocery
eating what I would
store.
consider like a whole food diet.
Yes.
Like we made everything from scratch pretty much. Most of our meals had ingredients that you could actually pronounce.
Right.
Like we thought we were eating a very healthy diet.
Yes. So because our diet was really relatively simple anyway,
Right.
it wasn't a very difficult transition for us.
The hardest thing to kind of wrap our minds around when we first started eating keto was that there are things that we've been told our entire lives are good for us that more and more research is starting to show aren't good for you.
And really because the body treats carbohydrates like sugar.
Right.
Okay, so any carbohydrate, whether it's, table sugar, maple syrup, rice, bread,
Right.
that is
Potatoes.
that is all converted to a type of sugar in your body, and your body uses it like it uses sugar.
Right. And so our goal with going to a keto lifestyle or a low carb lifestyle was to get rid of as many things in our diet that turn into sugar. So obviously giving up sugar itself
Right.
was a big deal, but also we needed to research and learn about all the different things that we were eating that were turning into sugar in our bodies.
So that means grains, even if
Right.
it's whole grains.
Right.
Bread, pasta, potatoes,
Right.
sweet potatoes, a lot of fruits.
Corn.
Yeah, corn. Yeah, corn. A lot of fruits, watermelon, apples.
Right. Which I was a big fruit eater prior to this. I mean, I would eat apples, watermelon, bananas, all that kind of stuff almost every single day.
Right. So we had to kind of retrain ourselves and relearn about the carbohydrate content of a lot of things, especially fruits and vegetables. I mean, getting rid of breads and all those kinds of things, that's kind of like a no-brainer. Okay, well,
Right.
yeah, you can't eat those. But then relearning what fruits and vegetables we can and can't eat, that was a learning experience for us. And we think we have that under control now. And there are a lot of lists out there online to tell you the net carbs of fruits and vegetables.
Right. There's actually a great app that we use and used when we were starting out, especially, that we have on our phones called Carb Manager. And it's a great app. We're not affiliated with them in any way, but it's just a great app because you can put your stuff in there. You can even snap a picture like of the box of your food, and it has a database, and it'll tell you kind of where that falls.
Right. But it also helped us figure out, really, for the amount of weight that we wanted to lose, how many total carbs per day we should be consuming.
Right.
For me, that ended up being about 21 carbs a day.
Right. And for me, it was somewhere around, I think, 40 carbs per day.
Really, yeah. So for weight loss, that's where we were at. And really for maintenance, we're finding that 30 to 50 carbs per day is about where we want to stay.
And those 30 to 50 carbs, we make sure come from healthy
Yes.
things. So it's important to not just say, okay, well, that means I can have one candy bar or whatever every day.
Right.
You still want those carbs because there are carbs, even in some of the things that we do eat, there are still carbs, and you need to add those all up. So like broccoli still has carbs.
Right.
Not much, but say there's 4 carbs in a serving of broccoli. I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but say it's 4. Okay, well now we're down to like 26 that you can have for the day.
Mm-hmm.
So if we have broccoli, twice that day, we're 8 of our 30 carbs have now come from broccoli.
Right.
So you got to really shift your mind and realize that you really need to pay close attention because it's easy to go over that level, even when you think you're being good.
Right. So what does eating keto really look like for us? What are we eating?
Right. And that's a question we get a lot because people assume that on a keto diet, you're going to be eating nothing but, meat and cheese is
Right.
what they think. They think, oh, great, meat and cheese again. And while we do eat a lot of meat and cheese, honestly, because we like meat and
Right.
cheese, even before we did keto, we ate a lot of meat and cheese.
Right.
that's a choice that we make. It's not something that you're forced to do on a keto diet.
Right, but what people may not understand is that including fiber into your keto lifestyle is extremely important.
Right, and actually that's another comment that we get so much from people is that, oh, you're going to get colon cancer because you're not getting any fiber on a keto diet.
Yeah.
And that is a bunch of bull.
And we've heard from other people who start out doing keto that they're constipated. They're not going to the bathroom.
Right.
And when you ask more questions, you find out, well, it's because they're only eating meat and cheese.
Right.
And of course, your body needs fiber. And so when we're eating a meal, we are incorporating, obviously, some protein and high fat, but we're also including something that is high in fiber for us.
Right.
So to us, what that looks like most of the time is a meat and cheese and then a vegetable.
Right. A low carb vegetable
That's
like
right.
broccoli, cauliflower, green beans, Brussels sprouts.
Sure.
Things like that.
So yes, we eat a lot of meat, cheese, other dairy products,
Right.
eggs, nuts, low carb vegetables, low carb fruits, which are very limited,
Right.
really to mainly
Berries.
Yeah.
Mostly. And that even though those are on a limited amount.
Absolutely.
Like I've told you guys in the past, I eat yogurt and blueberries almost every day because I really enjoy it and it's a good way. It seems like a treat, but it sticks to our diet.
Right. For sweeteners, we are primarily using stevia, but occasionally if we do some kind of low carb baked goods, we'll incorporate an erythritol sugar substitute.
Right.
But one of the main things that we are concentrating on, and really you should on a keto diet, is fats. So when we are eating meat that has fat on it, we eat all of the fat.
Right.
But we're also we're intentionally including more fat into our diet.
Right.
In the form of butter, bacon fat,
Right.
lard,
Avocado oil.
coconut oil. But what we're not including as far as fats and oils are highly processed oils and seed oils,
Right.
like canola oil, soybean oil,
Corn oil.
yeah, we just don't
Peanut
eat
oil.
all of those, absolutely, because they're highly processed and they're hydrogenated,
Right.
which is not good for us. That process changes some of the fats from good fats into very bad fats,
Right.
and you don't want to be consuming those.
Right.
So also during this process, we've gotten questions about how switching to a keto lifestyle is affecting how we're going to homestead.
Right.
You know, what are you going to grow if you're not going
Right.
to
Doesn't
grow
seem like you can grow
corn and
anything now.
potatoes? So really, the answer to that is we already grow a lot of
Right.
what is in a keto lifestyle. I mean,
Right.
we produce all of our own meat. Right now we're buying all of our dairy products, well, most of our dairy products, but soon, any day now, our heifer is going to calve and then we'll be able to produce those things on our own. And we do a ton of growing, you guys. So not much is really going to change, except we just don't need to grow as much variety of things in the garden and in the greenhouse. We'll
Right.
just grow more of the things we can eat and stop growing the things we can't eat.
Right. You know, watermelons was a big thing. In the past, I've grown a lot of watermelon. This last year, we actually planted watermelon, and you guys, not even like on purpose,
Yeah.
but we ate one of the watermelons that we grew this last year.
Mm-hmm.
The rest either went to the pigs or we gave them away to my parents or whatever. But we've just
We're
now,
just feeling so good.
right, that
the
we-
way that
the
we're
temptation
eating.
wasn't even that strong.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I may still grow watermelons in the future. Maybe we'll have one during the summer as a treat.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not something that we're like sitting around anymore just
Dreaming about
right or kind of feeling sorry for ourselves.
Right.
Like we're no longer looking at all the things we can't eat, but we're excited about the things we can.
Right.
And I think I said this even at the beginning of this video that really this way of eating should be what all homesteaders are doing because you can grow almost everything you could grow on a homestead already fits into a keto lifestyle.
Right. And we, over time, we have those cravings less and less.
Right.
And you just kind of get used to it. But I also want to say a lot of that, I think, comes from how satiated you are when you eat this way.
Right.
We're very rarely hungry
Right.
because what we're eating is high in fat, which sticks with you.
Right.
Sometimes we get to dinner and we're like, we're just pretty much still full from lunch, so let's just have, a couple pieces of cheese or some yogurt or something for dinner instead of a full meal, because
Right.
it really is so satiating. And when you're not super hungry, when you're not having, the blood sugar spikes up and down, which this diet completely eliminates,
Right.
you don't get those cravings
Right.
for sugar.
Now, one thing I would say, and that we haven't touched on, is that we also do intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
We're not going to get into all of that right now, but basically, we don't start eating till the bare minimum is noon every day. We try to push it to 1 o'clock every day, and we're done eating by 6 p.m. every day. So
Right.
we only eat with a 5-hour window, and the rest of the time, we don't eat. So, like Sarah said, we get to lunchtime, which is noon or 1 o'clock. We haven't eaten since 6 o'clock the night before, and a lot of days, we're not even really that hungry when it gets around to lunchtime, which is amazing. I would have never thought that we'd be people who could do that.
Right. So the last question or kind of topic that we want to talk about is, so when are we going to be done?
Right.
When are we going to be
Right.
finished with
And when
this?
we hit our goal, are we going to go back to eating the way we used to so we can
Right.
really have fun again?
Right. And the answer is, this has really become a lifestyle for us. We are healthy, we feel great, we enjoy what we're eating, and so we're not going to give it up. This
Right.
isn't a diet anymore, it's a lifestyle.
Right. Now, just recently, we actually became friends with another couple here in our area that have a farm, and they actually have a YouTube channel that they're just starting. And their YouTube channel is called Air to Ground Farms, and they've been doing keto for over 5 years now. They're about the same age we are, and you guys, they will never give it up either. They
No.
absolutely love it. And actually, just recently on one of their podcasts, Rich is his name, made a comment that really stuck with me, and I think it is so true. He said, if you go back to eating the standard American diet, you can expect to go back to being the standard American weight. And I think that sums it up. I mean,
And
if
back
you go
back to the standard American health issues.
Right. And I think that is absolutely true. So when we have now, decided to make this a permanent change in our diet, that's exactly why, because we don't want to go back to feeling the way we used to with skin issues and joint issues and digestive issues.
Right.
We want to continue to feel the way that we're feeling now, which is fantastic.
And actually, now that we are friends with Shelly and Rich, it is so nice to have another couple that we can talk back and forth about, just basically getting support. And so we encourage you, if you're going to jump into this way of eating, that you also find some other
Right.
people in your life that you can, just befriend.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're very knowledgeable on this. So check out their channel
Yes.
if you haven't. We encourage you to check them out. But you guys, this really is what we feel the best diet for us, the best diet for homesteaders, and we encourage all of you to look into it.
Now, you guys, if you are interested in doing this, but you do have health issues, we strongly encourage you to first go talk with your doctor, get blood work done, get some advice from them about truly, if you want to do this, how to
Right.
do it safely for you.
Right. But realize that a lot of doctors aren't well educated
Right.
on this either. So you may need to look for a doctor who is and can really help you maybe transition into this way of living instead of just making a big jump all on your own. Because you do need to, especially if you are diabetic or have, other health issues, you do need to take it kind of slowly. And you may find that you can get off some of those medications
Right.
after you're on
Right.
this diet for a while.
But you need to do that with your doctor involved.
Right.
You guys, We are so relieved that even some of our anxiety is about, what our blood work would look like after
Right.
almost a year. Our anxieties are completely eliminated now. We can just be happy eating this way, continue on.
But most importantly, we are excited about going into the future eating this way. We feel like as we get older, we're both about to be 48 here in the next couple months, and as we age, keeping our weight under control,
Yes.
keeping our blood sugar under control, keeping our heart health under control. That is all going to be so important, and we are sure that this is the way to do it. So you guys, we hope that this was educational for you,
Yeah.
a little maybe inspirational for you to see the transformation. And you guys, we hope that you will at least look into doing a keto way of eating.
You guys, if you're enjoying videos like this, make sure that you hit the subscribe button. And remember that the best way you can help us here in the homestead is just to share our videos on social media. And this would be a great one, you guys. Our blood test results are great after 1 year of keto. Until next time, thank you so much for stopping by our homestead. Take care and God bless.
God bless.